in which we reflect on the current state of art and technology from various angles, and also always with a sort of historical awareness or knowledge. It can vary from lectures, discussions to screenings. And tonight I have Martijn van Boven here with me. Hello, Martijn.
Oh, hi, you already started, sorry.
Yes, welcome Martijn, and please join me on the screen. Tonight, Martijn will present a selection of works from our collection. He's actually the first guest that I didn't invite, but he invited himself.
Yeah.
Even before I started this series, directly when we were locked in the houses and when we were communicating through Zoom all day long, he thought, I know some works in the Lima collection that perfectly reflect our current feeling. So he approached us, and I'm very happy with the program he made. He didn't make it entirely alone. He also invited his students to reflect with him. And funnily enough, the students, I think they came with the most like historical works. They really like dove into the 80s and found like Zoom avant la lettre and this kind of material.
Yeah.
So yeah, which I didn't tell, but Martijn van Boven, as you might know, he is like a visual artist working in the field of experimental film and computer generated art already for over 20 years, but he is head of interaction design at the Artes Academy of Art. So that's where the students come in. So yeah, welcome Martijn.
Yeah, thanks, Sanneke, and thanks for letting me give some space here to showcase this program. Yeah, maybe the reason why I contacted you was like at the beginning of this period that we are in right now. One of my colleagues, Louis Fernandez, we were chit-chatting over the phone and talking like how everything is going. And he said, you know, Martijn, this situation that we're in right now reminds me of one of those videos you showed many years ago at Lima, which was about these artists that were trying to set up a video conference. And it was somewhere in the 80s. And I was like, oh yeah, that work. It was like the three artists on the slow scan video line. I think I'm paraphrasing the title, and then I was like, it would be great to do like a video program around this topic that we are in right now, which deals with miscommunication, setting up telematic systems, trying to understand what we are saying to each other, and also the sort of the limitations of communication systems. And so I immediately wrote an email to you, and I was like, hey, let's do this. And after that, I thought, well, maybe it also would be a great idea to involve my third-year students, because I teach a class on media archaeology. And I thought it would be a great idea also to sort of make them acquainted with the collection of Lima. And so I gave them like a very brief introduction. We met with also with you and with the students like once on, I think it was Zoom or Discord, I can't remember which platform. And then they came back with an amazing list of titles, but not only that, but also the argumentation and how they went through the collection. And that I found like that for me, it was so great and gave me so much energy. And then I was like, maybe we should also just do a side program that also showcases all the films, because otherwise the program would have been way too long. Yeah, and I'm really excited about it. It's I think it's going to be it's not sort of the program that I would sort of curate it if I would have done it all by myself. Otherwise it would have been mainly, I think, sort of a lot of abstract hardcore videos dealing with signal modulation and
it's not entirely true, because already like the program you came up with included quite some surprising material, because I was thinking, indeed, I know exactly what he's going to do. Yeah. And I think you surprised like at least me, or maybe also yourself. But I think we'll come to that. There's like one little gem that will be like your moment to shine. But maybe we can start slowly. And so the evening is like will be consisting of like 3 or 4 blocks of works. So maybe we can already go, if you're ready, the first.
Yeah, sure. So we're going to start with noise fields by the Fazulkas, because it's sort of opening up the electronic signal and showcasing the fundamentals and the principles of how to work with pure noise, and how out of sort of noise you can sort of create forms and shapes accomplished by very simple sine waves. And I think it's just a really beautiful piece. And I once heard Woody Fazulka sort of explaining one part of the video, which I think you can also find online, so you can experiment that by yourself. Is that so you start to see a circle sort of emerging out of these noise fields. And the funny thing is, the moment when you sort of pause the video, it sort of disappears. And so it's also showcasing like sort of the stuff that happens in between sort of the fields of the video fields that are sort of presenting these very simple shapes. And I think it's a really great piece just to cleanse our senses, our eyes and ears, before we go into the other works. And the second piece, it's the Tom Klinkostein. It's a 3 artists on the line on slow scan video, which is about setting up communication systems, and which I think is very reminiscent of the current state of affairs that we are in right now, like with setting up Zoom calls, or just like here in the studio, like building your own like micro studio so you can still communicate with people. But I think it's also very much, it's almost, I don't know, like stand-up comedy of communication system build-up. And the third piece, it's by the Dutch artist Han Bierman, which is in Dutch. And that one was chosen by one of my students, Sjoerd Mol. And for him, that piece is from 1980, which I think is great, because it's like one of those really early pieces that really shows, at least for that student, like, oh, for me, this is like a Zoom call where information disappears, you can't hear that person, and then out of all this gibberish, you have to make something out of it yourself and make sense out of it. So I would say roll tape.
Ik ben hier in Amsterdam. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Come on, are you hearing me okay?
Yeah, can you hear my first few words okay?
No problem at all. And just a second, miss, I have 10 minutes. Just a second, please.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same problem that I have with Bill, is that I missed the first few seconds of your conversation. So the telephone company suggested that you whistle first before you start a sentence, and that seems to clear the line, even though it sounds ridiculous.
All right, we'll do that.
Yes, Tom. Great.
Bill?
Here comes Bill.
Whistling away?
Here's Bill Bachelor whistling. We're going to start now with our graphics. That'll be 3 frames, about 30 seconds. And then 3 frames of a picture of me. Is that understood? And then you guys can receive.
2 graphics.
I'll be stopping.
How was that, Aldo?
Good. From MIT here for Aldo, we received you perfectly. It was good.
Bill in Canada.
It's very faint, Tom. A lot of interference on it, but we were getting a full scan on it. Yes.
Yeah, what did you get?
Can't tell you.
You can't tell me. Uh-oh.
We're ready to transmit here at MIT.
Okay, what's your name, Skip?
Skip.
Okay.
Oh, that's perfect. There's Aldo.
Hard change.
Hello? Bill, you back? What'd you get?
So, I could hear the signal coming over, but there was a lot of, so much noise that I still couldn't read. But why don't we send our logo and see how you receive it?
Okay, then we're going to switch to receive.
Fine.
Okay.
Okay, come on. What are you going to do in the middle of it?
Ja, heel mooi.
First of all, when you go on to 35, it seems fairly strong. There.
Hello, Bill? It was fine. It was very clear.
It sounds very strong, going out, so.
How about you, Aldo?
They should try again.
Yeah, we have a weak connection with Bill Bartlett here at MIT. With everything going through.
Yeah? Perhaps MIT can send their graphics one more time.
So you want to try to send out another minute or so of graphics so Bill can see if he can get a better reception?
Oh, an American telephone.
This is Tom in Amsterdam. It was very clear.
Okay, beautiful.
How about you, Bill?
Bad.
Bad?
Bad.
Bill, you still there? Hello, Bill? Aldo, are you still there?
Yes, Aldo here.
We're going to just go ahead with the program. I guess it's the best we can do for now.
I can't hear Bill at all. Hey, Bill, are you there?
He's worse than ever, Tom.
You don't hear him at all, huh?
Okay, well, we'll just have to go ahead with it.
Who is next?
What?
Who is next?
What did you say?
Who is going to transmit next? We are ready here. MIT is ready.
We're going to send next, as we're going to send our second part, which is a graphic,
Yes?
and then 2 minutes of prepared material,
Yes?
and then a graphic, and then back on the line for a short moment.
And then we'll be next. MIT will be next.
That.
Okay, fine. Go.
Aldo, did you receive anything?
We receive it very well.
Okay, we're ready to receive.
Are you ready to send, Aldo?
Yes, we're ready to send.
Okay, we're
Hey, are you ready, Gil? Yeah. Haven't heard you. Move it. Okay, you're on video disc now. Yeah. Oh, you want to video disc? After this one, you could just send it. Winner. That's nice. No, don't put on news.
Is Bill there at all? Bill, you there? Hello, Bill. Oh, Bill's drowned in the Pacific Ocean, I think.
MIT is ready. Go ahead.
Here we go. We're going to be
You
sending
ready to receive? You're in receive?
prepared piece.
Okay. You must be outside.
Definitely try to turn over, she said.
Laatste, deze, naar deze, eruit. Ja, gewoon eruit. Ja? Ja.
Oh, get the Boston Globe and the New York Times here. Hands up. All hands up, you want, okay? Sex and violence. Right. Aldo, yeah, that's a good one. Right. There we go. Okay? Let's transmit one more.
The last section is made to be done with shadows.
Can you set up your light to do that also? If not, then just react with whatever you have. Yeah, there's going to be no audio in between.
When you stop transmitting, we will send. Correct?
Very good.
All right, come on.
Okay.
Like this, okay. All right, we got it.
Up yours.
Then the last shot is goodbye. Right, goodbye. From MIT.
It's coming.
Stop MIT USA for.
Okay? Can you stop transmitting?
That's it. No more, please. Jesus, it's getting
Door overeenkomstigheid onderscheidt men wezenlijke verschillen wat een willekeurig persoon kan overkomen kan iedereen overkomen. Waarover men niet spreken kan daarover moet men zwijgen. Een goed verstaander heeft een half woord nodig de advertentie is een van de belangwekkendste en moeilijkste van de moderne literatuur vormen. Men kan niet applaudisseren met één hand. We bezitten slechts datgene waar we afstand van doen. Het succes van denkbeelden hangt niet af van hun juistheid. De duidelijkste geschriften worden onleesbaar in de duisternis. niets flirt, een landschap zo op als gebakken eieren met ham. Door overeenkomstigheid onderscheidt men wezenlijke verschillen. Wat een willekeurig persoon kan overkomen, kan iedereen overkomen. Waarover men niet spreken kan, daarover moet men zwijgen. Een goed verstaander heeft een half woord nodig. De advertentie is een van de belangwekkendste en moeilijkste van de moderne literatuurvormen. Men kan niet applaudisseren met één hand. We bezitten slechts datgene waar we afstand van doen. Het succes van denkbeelden hangt niet af van hun juistheid. De duidelijkste geschriften worden onleesbaar in de duisternis. Niets fleurt een landschap zo op als gebakken eieren met ham.
Hello and welcome back. Thanks, Martijn, for this interesting start. We saw like communication signals and structures on both the medium and the message, so to say. So we saw noise in the signal and noise in the communication. I think some people didn't really get like the last word. Was there something wrong or wasn't there something wrong?
No, yeah, I mean, yes and no. I think the way they responded to it, that was perfect, I would say. The intention of that video was, of course, to have certain parts of the phrases by Joop van Zijl audible and other parts not. And then in the second part of the video, you get like the statement or the saying that was sort of composed out of these individual sound bites. But I think the way some people in the comments responded, I think that really showcases like, yeah, what's happening, and still like, yeah, this idea of like, am I hearing it correctly? What's going on? Is this the way it should be? And yeah, sort of a lack of standard, as you might say, of communications. And yeah, and on the opposite side, you have the work of the Vazulkas, where it's almost, there's no sort of yeah, there's nothing that you can sort of doubt about what you're seeing and what you're hearing. So it's a sort of a full experiential piece, I would say. Yeah, it's very true to my heart. And then of course the second piece, I think that one where you have like 15 minutes of people trying to set up a communications channel, where some parts are working, some parts are not working. Also sort of the joy, I would say, of setting up a communications channel. I think that's also really great. It's almost like a community work, maybe. I never looked at it like that. So yeah, that was like the first part. So now we've sort of set up our communications channel, and then maybe from there on we can see like what happens after that. And when people really start to communicate with each other. And so now we have 2 videos coming up. The first one, it's Hand Number 2 by Keigo Yamamoto, Japanese video artist. And this one was chosen by also one of my students, Celine Butner. And this one is about a sense of deprivation of touch. And to sort of quote her, she said about this video is that the video of Yamamoto shows, for me, the feeling of deprivation of touch as something as simple as giving a hand is not possible in this time. Everyone is in a screen, and it's time for some kind of a digital touch. And I also found that a very original way of sort of looking at this work. And the second one is also by one of my students, Rosa Poelmans. It's from the Dutch artist Pieter Cornelissen. It's called Goedendag. Originally, it's a 21, almost 22-minute video. I've chosen to cut it in half, so we'll see 8 minutes of it, a little bit under 10 minutes. And for her, this video really showcases how she every morning wakes up and then opens her laptop. She goes to Discord, and then people are always sort of are being welcomed by hellos and people waving at each other. And she also said, like, it feels like as if we're greeting each other like more and more since we started to have like these online meetings. And I would say roll tape.
Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. 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 Goeiedag. Goedendag. Goedendag. Goedendag.
goedendag, 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 goedendag. Goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goedendag. Goedendag, goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag. Goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag. Goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag. Goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag, 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 goeiedag, goedendag, goedendag, goedendag.
Oh, goedendag and welcome back. It does make me aware how often I also say hi, hi, hi in this stream. Yeah, that was something completely different. I really like the Keiko Yamamoto. It is really also embedded in this time. It reminds me of Joan Jonas and then Graham and this kind of artist working with like video materiality, feedback loop. But it does like is set in a very different light in contemporary times. So that's thanks to the students who saw this like click of this actuality that it has.
Yeah, I think that is really great. That's also what I said to you while we were watching this piece, for instance, the Pieter Cornelissen, the Goedendag. I mean, for me, that's also something that I probably would have overlooked, or also the Hands number 2. And I think that's also really great when you sort of look into a collection, because yeah, I've been doing this like for many years, but then you also start to have a certain kind of maybe fixed perspective on how to sort of go through the collection. And then yeah, there's like a group of people that see this collection as a totally different way on expression, but also it's also for them, I think, also very much like, oh, this is how I am at this moment, or how this work sort of showcases how I feel or how I'm going through this period that we are in right now. And I think that's a really great way of, as a methodology to go through the archive and collection of Lima. Yeah, and now I want to go to for
yeah,
me.
no, let me properly introduce it, because now,
Sorry.
oh no, that will be afterwards, but now this is the moment that Martijn is going to shine. And he did, like, this was also a moment for me that he did, like, reactivated, like, a work that I knew, but I had forgotten about. And it's very short, but it's like 1.5 minutes of, like, pure genius, we can almost say, Martijn, can't we?
I think, yeah, totally. So what do you want to do? So we first.
No, I think we have to watch it first. So
yeah.
I think we have to just, like, leave you blank, although we already, like, pushed you a bit by saying that it's going to be 1.5 minutes of, like, pure genius, but, like, just enjoy, and Martijn will be back and we'll, like, take his moment and explain why
pay attention,
this is so
because it's
brilliant.
only 1 minute and 30 seconds. So Manuel Saiz, specialized technicians required, being Louis Porcar. Let's roll tape.
Hello, my name is Luis Porcar. My work consists of dubbing the voices of foreign actors for the Spanish versions of commercial films. Amongst others, I have dubbed the voices of Michael Douglas, George Clooney, and Chuck Norris. On several occasions, I have dubbed John Malkovich. Manuel Saiz is a visual artist whose works are about technology, language, and cultural structures. He asked me to record this video with the aim of requesting John Malkovich to dub it into English. Due to the distance that exists between the art world and cinema, it may be a difficult project to pull off. If what you are listening to is in English, you are hearing the voice of John Malkovich. If it is in Spanish, it is mine. Thanks.
Okay, goeiedag and welcome back. And Martijn, the screen is yours.
Yeah, so when I started to think about the program, at one point, I had to think about, like, this video that sort of was bothering me, like, the moment when it was premiered. At that time, it was sort of, Montevideo had, like, these video evenings, and I was also very much at that time in sort of the abstract, computer-generated, electronic videos, etc., you name it. And then they were also showing this work, and I just didn't get it. It was just annoying me. Yeah, whatever. And then I started to sort of think a little bit more about the program, and I was like, yeah. That video of Manuel Saiz, and it's short, but I think there is so much going on in that video that I think says so much about the time that we are living in right now. Sort of the idea, like, okay, I hear John Malkovich, it's perfectly lip synced. There's a man who is not John Malkovich for sure. He identifies himself as the person who does the voiceovers for Spanish language of all his films. And then you're like, okay, why is this man there, and why is he sitting sort of behind his desk? And then you have this great voice of John Malkovich. Why are they together? And then all of a sudden, all these questions start to raise, at least that's for myself. And I think that video, for me, it really shows also like on a sort of deeper level that we are in right now, where people really start to sort of question everything. If it's like world anti-globalists, the anti-establishment, that are sort of continuously sort of perpetuating or questioning the truth. But also I was thinking about sort of maybe this is also like an early deepfake video where you really can construct everything. And I think that's really what this video is really showing, where Manuel Saiz in his work is so good at, is that he is sort of paraphrasing, and he uses the medium of video, where you sort of can build layers of text, of image, of sound, and like, where do I stand as a viewer? Like, what do I have to believe? And I think that's also maybe the interpretation of like the technician, like who is constructing this video? Who is that, the artist? Or is that us? Yeah, I think this video for me, it's like one piece that you can watch over and over, and every time you get into some kind of a loop, and then you are like, ah, yeah, now I understand it's John Malkovich, but then you start to question the dubbing actor, and then you watch it again, and then it might be sort of the identity of that person who's sitting behind the desk, or the identity of John Malkovich. But then it's also about sort of the economics, like how comes that Manuel Saiz, I don't know so much, I tried to look it up today a little bit. I mean, he's sort of a well-established artist, but how comes that he was able to get like a really class actor from Hollywood to persuade him to make like such a short video piece? Like, what kind of structures are behind it? And yeah, so it's also the motivation of John Malkovich, and I think it's a really genius video. And then also, I forgot about it, but Manuel also made a really great video. It's called Video Hacking. It's from 1999. I think you really should try and look it up, which is some kind of a fictional documentary. It's like a mockumentary on the act of video hacking, where he takes a videotape out of a video store. That's stuff that we had back in those days. And I think it was a scene from an Alfred Hitchcock movie, I think North by Northwest. And there's this scene where the two main characters are walking in the forest, and then what he does through digital video editing, he takes out certain parts of the trees and he replaces them. And then he copies it back on the videotape and he brings it back to the video store. And I think that piece also really shows like questioning everything as a consumer of media, as a consumer of news. Also the act of, he's also sort of dressing up as some kind of a cliche hacker nerd, and who is sort of manipulating the news and the stuff that we're seeing. So I think that the work of Manuel, I think it really should sort of be put more into the spotlight nowadays. And yeah, I think it's amazing. We could run it again, but I think we have to move on.
Yeah, yeah, and this work and the other works are in the like Lima collection online. So I would highly recommend that you just like look them up and watch them for yourself. There's also another one on like subtitles, in which he constantly changed like the protagonist from the subtitles to the actor who's behind. So this play with media, with language, with like message and signal is really what Saiz is brilliant at. So thanks, Martijn, for like pointing that out. So I think we're going to do the last run of
so
like
now we're going to move
works.
on to the last block, and we're going to have 3 works, and those are mainly about, I would say, social media, yeah, so the access maybe of accessibility maybe of those kind of communication platforms, and also the sense and mainly the nonsense of those platforms. So the 2 works we're going to watch are by Ulysses Karin. It's called Bullet Swing. It's 4 minutes, which deals with sort of the violence and the uselessness of online communication platforms such as Twitter, where people just want to express whatever they have on their mind, and they really don't care about the other. It's just about them, and just here's my argument, and then sort of walk away. And then Jody with Escape Monkeys on Twitter, which is sort of a registration of an installation. Yeah, speaks for itself. Love Jody. Jody's great. And then we're going to wrap up. Needs to be like a nice abstract work by my colleague and friend Bas van Kolwijk, 5, the projection version, and which is just going back so full circle, also back to the electronic signal and mainly the aesthetics and of the electronic signal.
Yeah, just to quickly interrupt, it's even more than the projection version. It's a version that Bas made specifically for this medium, since like it deals with the signal and YouTube is doing a compression, like fucking things up. So he tried to let YouTube fuck it up for the minimum.
Yeah, the real medium specificality.
Absolutely.
I love Bas. It's great. It's great. Okay, roll tape and clips.
Yes. Well, Martijn, that last work must have felt like coming home for you, didn't it?
Of course.
Yeah. Some raw signal visualization, interactional sound and image.
It's the purity. I think that's really amazing of the work of Bas. It's like it's so concentrated. I think he is really good in understanding sort of the possibilities of such an extreme limitation. Comparing to sort of color field paintings, but then in an electronic digital form. Yeah, I think it's great.
And what I like also that it's super medium specific, but in this context of like communication that we talked about, it's also pure communication. So maybe it's the communication we can in a way all relate to, like when everything fails.
Yeah, but it's also like what Woody Fasuka once said, sort of the machines need us. You know, the machines need us to express themselves. And I think that's what you see in this work of Bas. He's sort of showcasing what's inside, what's happening, what are the possibilities. And him as an artist, he really shows like, okay, that's what's happening. And that's how I can control and show to the viewer like these signals and the manipulation and the possibilities, and also sort of the strength and weaknesses of the color and of the sound, and so the stereo image. At least, I mean, I played it here in my studio. He also did a really great job in sort of the stereo effect. So yeah, it's really like a showcase of what a medium can bring you, not only sort of on a narrative level. Straight to the bone.
Yeah, but in a way, all the works had this like performativity in them on various levels. I think that's really the thread of the night, and I do think the chat actually added like a layer of performativity. We saw sort of reappropriation of Han Bierman by Willem van Wilde, and also this adding of media layered, messed up communication. I think it was as a whole also had some performative qualities. But right, I'm gonna check if there's like questions for you or concluding statements. The human as a tool, the machine as an artist. Well, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe the human as the person that is sort of as an intermediate.
Mostly that. Yeah, mostly that, I think, as an intermediate. So there goes our autonomy. We just like give, no. Let's not go into autonomy.
I think the way I see it is that the way sort of these electronic systems are set up, there's a difference between like what's happening inside on sort of the circuit level, and then the way it's being encapsulated, the way we can address it. And I think the moment when you sort of take away that layer, sort of the box, then all of a sudden you have more access to what's actually happening within that electronic system or within that digital system. And I think by sort of bringing that up, then you really sort of show like what are the possibilities and sort of maybe the natural language of an electronic or a digital system.
Yeah, I think language actually it might be the key word. Like that's like it just depends what kind of language you speak. And I think a lot of like media artists also often come from more literature or like language studies. And I know you're also very fond of reading French philosophers, for instance. So always. Yeah.
I know my quotes.
Yeah. So some last famous words before I'll like.
Foucault rules.
I think you couldn't have said it better. No, yeah.
Thanks so much. I really
enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Martijn. I think we should do this more often. And
we definitely should do this more often.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we will be back next week. Next week is a bit of a special event. It is the launch or the opening event of our Cultural Matter exhibition that fully will take place online. It's 10 websites by Rafael Roosendaal on one new exhibition website, and he will engage in conversation with Christiane Pohl next week at 8. So hope to see you again. And yeah, Martijn, hope to also see you again soon. And we will also be adding a video which contains of all the material that the students have selected. So more about that soon as well. So thank you.
And I really would urge people to go and watch it, because I think their selection is really original. It's amazing, and it made me really enthusiastic, and also really taught me a lot about how to address the collection of Lima. And so I'm really looking forward to that program as well. And I really want to thank my students, because they've done a really great job. Yeah,
they did, and they will also one way or another explain why they've chosen the work. And I think that's what I like so much about this video art collection, that a work can mean something completely different when it's introduced by someone or seen in a different light, in a different age, in a different context. So yeah, thanks for that.
Thanks.
And see you next week. See you soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.